And we're live. Who all is here this evening? Unfinished Project and LP94 were here early. Hot Rod Guy Garage. Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn and First Responder Garage. Got Indecisive Garage with all his American flags and the checkered flag. He said he screwed that up. Well, they set a pattern. Cope Racing Transmissions, the Valve Body King of Chicago is here. SSR Performance James, Big James, a.k.a. Ryan. Twisted Mopar Garage, Buff Del Campo. Rapid Transit J. Colleen is here, a.k.a. Mama M3. Turbo Tom says, hi all from Ohio. And Twisted Dennis is hoping everyone had a great Friday. Indeed. Mean Street Mopar, JB's Little Shop, Bigfoot Mark. SSR, I want that pic of my Chevelle. We can get that to you, sir. 38 Ray, MM&M Damien, Slant Daily Garage asks, what's up, suckers? Big Mike is asking, how is y'all? Hot Rod Guy Garage, Russell. Bruce Colgin, Justin Hill, Pure Pontiac Garage says hello, everyone. Ginger Vance. Looks like we're about caught up on comments. Well, hello. How is everybody on this Friday? Levi says, evening, gents. Just got done making my first time trial ever on a radial prep track. Not good, but good data to work with. Round 2 time run soon. See y'all after a while. Junkyard D says, Sappening. Sup. Pure Pontiac. One-Eyed Cat says, stuck doing yard work. Look at me go. I'm glad y'all are here this evening. It's the first, I guess, No Name Nationals, post-No Name Nationals live of the regular season, which commences the week after the No Name Nationals. 38 Racing is still evaluating damage to the MES 10 after No Name Nationals 25. Well, glad you got back in one piece. Dan, the IT guy, hello, sir. Glad you're here. Justin reminds us he is from Idaho. Levi's greeting everyone. If you saw the thumbnail for tonight's live, it's a picture of Levi's car taken early in the morning. Lars snapped that photo. And also, if you saw the intro I had tonight, Lars put that together. So shout out to him and thank you for that. More things coming. I got some more stuff I want to do with the Friday night intro. You'll see. I have some ideas in my mind. But I thought that was cool, a nice way to change it up. Dean Stevenson says, hey, beautiful people. Are you in the wrong chat room, Dean? Rich 220 unofficial fan page. Good evening, everyone. That better stay cool. Rapid Transit Jay says, picking up a major component for the Triple Crown project this weekend. Exciting. So Jay is already just short of a year out building his Triple Crown car for next year. And it looks like the date may shift just a little, not much, just a little, possibly. I wish Holly would just, and Beach Bend would go ahead and just give me their dates. It will be helpful, but it'll be very close. Dean says, reminds Just over the hill from Barrows and Cousin Mike. You cannot hide a city on a hill, Justin. Okay. I don't know what city. I just know they're in Idaho. Slant Daily says Jay is building something that could be a hammer. Yeah, I think I've heard of this, actually. I think I've heard of what he wants to do. So it sounds good. Andrew Nelson says, good evening from Team Nivlac 57. Andrew Nelson, I hope it works out for you to join us for the 5th annual No Name Nationals. I want it to be the biggest ever, and hope you can be part. Is it moving to be? No, it is not. The reason I say that is because Beach Bend is geographically close, and we try to coordinate a little better with what goes on there. It's not going to change anything dramatically, but we may move it just a little tiny bit. Not much at all. September is a great time for the No Name Nationals, so we just try to, we wouldn't want to have it on the same weekend as Mo Party purposefully, because a lot of our folks like to go to Mo Party. So just things like that. But we'll see. We'll see how it all shapes up. No, we're not moving the event to Beach Bend next year. Mean Street Bopar says, I picked up a McLeod RXT dual disc clutch and billet flywheel for my Dodge D100. The guy drove all the way from Indiana to bring it to me. Just so happened to have family not far from me. Get it in the truck, man. Let's see it. Put this stuff on a schedule. We want to see that thing show up in Sykeston next year. Thumper said, I got almost 2 hours of the Junkyard D Thrash uploaded now. So hit up John or Racer Ray for the link after the stream. We'll get it put up and we'll share it. Right, Big James. And don't let me forget the picture of Chevelle. We can definitely work that out. Those are cool photos. GXEN says, yeehaw, hi everyone. Well, hello. Thanks for joining us. SSR says, I'm talking my dad into building a car for Triple Crown. He's got to be on the channel with this build. We want to see the build on your channel. That's part of the fun, man. I mean, that's how we build community. We connect through YouTube to see what's going on. The one-eyed cat, yeehaw. He's got a 4-door Nova. Excellent. You know that fits right in with the program here. Isn't that cool and fun to do a smaller inch small block? Just do something a little different. I mean, not everything has to have 4-inch stroke and, has to be a monster. Glad all of y'all could make it tonight. Today's been kind of a busy day, mildly crazy. I have been back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with the same prospective customer all day. And, just, wild stuff. What do you do? Dan the IT guy says, woohoo, we are having fun now. We were always having fun. Glad you're now having fun with us. Big Mike says, I'm so torn. I've got 3 different builds I'm looking at for next year. Well, cool. Dallas says, happy Friday, everyone. Well, hello, Dallas. SSR has been slacking on videos. Got to get back at it. Toddler just comes first. Absolutely. Absolutely. Before you know it, that toddler will be your videographer or your star. But, yeah, man, if you want to build a car with the day of a Triple Crown, that sounds awesome. Incorporate it on your channel. We want to see you. We want to, we want to see and meet everyone and interact with them and follow along. That's part of the thing, man. So sounds great to me. I mean, everybody knew that you were going to be a threat to Triple Crown no matter what. And you were. So who knows? The SSR Performance Big James could wind up being the Triple Crown guy with the target on him like Joe is the guy with the target on him in the bracket. You never know. That could happen. I mean, the house doesn't do that, but, hey, if it happens, it happens. GXEN, Destroyer Ranch is issuing the Yeehaw Challenge to all of us. Do a short wherever you are saying Yeehaw and challenge somebody else to do it too. Okay. Go check that out on Destroyer's channel. Levi says, we go to look at the peer pressure Triple Crown car tomorrow morning. I'm very excited. I love my Laguna, but seeing Brooke get hooked on racing is going to give me a smile God couldn't take away from me. Cool. Dan, the IT guy, watched me with UTG on the bottle rocket again. Well, yeah, that's funny you mentioned that. That's been several years ago. If you get a link, yeah, sure. You certainly post it here. Dakota's timeout. Hello. Dust Devil Garage. He says he's here. How is everyone? Where can I find the rules for Triple Crown? If you go to NoNameNationals.com, there is a link to the rules below at the bottom. You can get a PDF of the Triple Crown class rules. At least you can get the 2025 rules. If there are changes for 2026, we'll let you know. But as of right now, it's pretty early. So Dallas and Professor P, I'll get them to commit. We're going to have an official event announcement. It's always the last Friday of the year, which will be the 26th this year. And we'll have them before then, I'm sure. I don't know what Don means. I was handed $2,800 the value, and here we are. Okay. Not sure what you mean by that, but okay. Patrick Sullivan's talking about Tim 72 Demon. Okay. It's good to see Tim in Sykeston. Indecisive Garage, I got your message. And I appreciate that very much. NYS GTO asking me, I need your blessing to break a record for my pure stock GTO, stuck at 1356. Well, my blessing's not going to do anything. I hope you get it. Go make it happen. Dan says, I'm half the man I used to be. Well, I got about half the knee I had a couple weeks ago. I'm telling you, I had a gallon of water on this knee. I mean, the scale reflected exactly that with the water. It's pretty wild. A whole gallon of water on this knee. And it looked every bit of it. Rob's Driving Streetcars. Hello, Rob. How you doing, sir? Rob, how many days is it until Halloween? Looks like 28. Old McDonald's has got my new glasses and watching you and everything else looks like it's in 4K. This broadcast is in 1080. So Colleen puts up a link to Thumper's video. So if that's raw video of that thrash with Junkyard D, that'll be cool. Mr. Quickridge says, what's up, guys? Anything new? There's always new stuff. A week in the lives of all of these people, you bet there's new stuff. 28, yep. See, I told you. 28 days until Halloween. Oh, is Halloween fall on a Friday this year by chance? It looks like it does. I reckon Jethro will be handing out Halloween candy in his little skeleton costume this year again. Big Mike says, I love new old stuff. Yeah. New old stuff, new old stock. It all works. Halloween's on a Friday. Okay. Well, being the big partier I am, you know how much that matters to me. Yeah, what's funny is that one day a year, my van really is the free candy van. It is so convenient to have it down on the foot of the driveway with the side doors open. Makes like a bench and have the candy in there and Jethro in there and give out candy. In fact, I think I did a community post of that last year or maybe year before. Unfinished project has a pre-bent brake line and air shock line kit for the 66. Okay, right on. Cool. Dallas says, Professor P and I are working on the 2026 Triple Crown rules. We do not want many changes so that 2025 cars and rules slide right in. There won't be a lot of changes, I promise. Yeah, and that's a good thing. I like it when people are judicious with their changes. But, yeah, it was a good class. And, any little refinements will probably be a good thing. But stay tuned for that. When we have a formal event announcement, we will for sure have updated Triple Crown rules. JB's trying to stay on task, but cooking dinner, well, that is the task. You got to eat. Dakota's saying he and his dad about got his Camaro done. Cool. Are we going to get to see it? Yeah, just improvements. That's the nature of anything. You always got to make little adjustments like that. Yeah, Thumper says what a lot of people would. They want to bump the cubes up so that you can run 4-inch stroker cranks. I get it. But I don't know if that fits in the vision of the class. So. Dallas will try to post her up. Well, cool. Well, bring it to Sykeston. We'd like to see it in person. Race it. Lars of football can't stay. Good to see everybody. And for those of you who are just coming in here, if you saw the intro to this, if you want to scroll back and watch it, Lars put that together. So did a little different intro tonight. Lunar Brian is here. Says, how's everyone doing? Well, I can't speak for anyone else. I'm doing reasonably well. How about yourself? Jonathan Reed, 76F100 asks, any Buicks at No Name Nationals this year? I'll let you guys tell him in the chat. He brought a Grand National out this year, which I particularly like. Thumper'd love to do a Pontiac 400. Yeah, I get it. It's the class is designed for what it's designed for. That's a Dallas and Professor P question. So I told him that class is theirs, and we'll give it room in the run order. Dakota says it'll do good on that trip with 256 gears. My goodness. Why even have high gear? NYS GTO says to Lunar to keep that caddy original and to spec. And Big Mike says he's intrigued by some of the built inline sixes I've been checking out lately. Yeah, I know. Kim from Tall Garage has got his 306 running with the LS head. I thought that was interesting. Lunar's close to getting his DeSoto back up and running. Cool cars. My grandfather had a 38 DeSoto. He had others too, but probably finished the 8th in first gear. Probably could with gears like that. 6th Street Garage says, howdy. Hello, sir. JB says, please keep the 6-cylinder class. I'm buying parts for next year. I certainly plan to. No plans to get rid of that. It's very popular. I definitely see keeping that. Definitely. Old McDonald says, why do I keep getting Russian commercials popping in? I have no idea, man. I don't have any control over the commercials. I will say whatever commercial stuff they give you is any money that this channel makes goes straight into the No Name Nationals. So. Levi thinks a Big Mike inline 6 would be cool. I would agree. Who knows what it would be? Might be a tractor short block with a car head or something. I could see Big Mike doing something like that. Yeah, I have no intention of getting rid of the 6-cylinder class. I think it's good. I think it's definitely a great start, and we'll have a good future. I really like the 6-cylinder class and Triple Crown this year. One thing we're definitely going to do next year is the 3-pedal party at the No Name Nationals. We want to see stick cars come out. So Triple Crown is great. Of course, the Friday bracket. We'll do a beginner bracket because it's got a place, the 6-cylinder class Triple Crown. And next year, we're going to do some stuff for the stick cars specifically. So if you got a clutch pedal, next year is your year. So we'll just see. But I'm really liking what we've got in the way of classes. We want to move to things that are more what the No Name Nationals is all about, and we're really getting that. So, I mean, I realize when people think stick cars, a lot of people say, oh, man, it's got to be heads up, got to be heads up, got to be heads up, super stock, all of this. It's like, no, it doesn't. I like the idea of a stick bracket because a lot of other people don't do them. You can always do something for the fast heads up cars. That's fine. I love it. It's great. But let's have a bracket so we get a bunch of stick cars there. I mean, this event is supposed to be about fun, right? Mike says y'all give me too much credit. One-Eyed Cat says, Mike, you set a high bar. He does, like the bumper bars on his Honda. Dakota says, my Camaro has a clutch pedal. It doesn't do anything, but it's got one. Oh, that's cool. Levi liked the 6-cylinder bracket because most of the 6-cylinder cars had 3 pedals. Yeah, maybe. I think it's cool. I think it's great. I mean, we want just to be a place for everybody to No Name Nationals, and there already was. But we want more people to get into things. And if we got to make excuses for them to get in the bracket and realize, yes, 6-cylinder cars can bracket too, even if we have to make a class for them. I mean, I would love to see an 11-second 6-cylinder win the Friday bracket, and that could absolutely happen. But it can't do it if the person doesn't enter. NYS GTO likes the idea of a stick bracket. I agree. I like the idea of a stick bracket. It is a different challenge. But once we have the stick cars there, believe me, we want to set up some match races and stuff for the faster ones. So we want to see some super stockers come out or something like that. Believe me, we'll do some stuff with them too. Dallas says, I will have my 3-pedal Buick at No Name Nationals in 2026. Right on. Sounds exciting. You guys watched the stick cars we had there this year. I mean, how cool was that? How much fun was it watching Dead Dodge Garage? I mean, he was running mid and low 8s in that car, but it still pulled the front wheels with a 4-speed, clutchless shifting. That was legit. Wasn't that fun? Jonathan Reed says, I wish I still had my 67 LeSabre. He said it'd be a hoot down the track. Yeah. JB, yeah, you're doing great. Brazil says, Dallas, you bring that Buick. I got a Ford that wants some of it. We'll see what happens. Levi says, he may have been born in this century, but I act as old as most people born in the 60s. I mean, act as old. Like Rich 220, he was born in the 60s. Except Cardboard Rich. Levi's excited to see Dallas sidestep the clutch. Yeah, I know. I've never seen Dallas operate with a manual transmission before. That'll be exciting. That'd be great. Big Puts and Mopars with 32 brackets. Might as well have a show car bracket. We won't have 32 brackets. American Hot Rod Association Dallas tells Bobby Frizzell he'll take that challenge and he'll put that Ford on the trailer. Well, we got to have a Buick and that Ford get here. So if they get here, then we'll be talking. Yes, and Don was born in 65. That is correct. NYS GTO says nailheads were Tommy Ivo's specialty. He was a showman, wasn't he? JB says he thinks Rich had a good time this year. He was everywhere. Yes, he did. And for those who missed it, we had a cardboard, well, actually it was chloroplast, Rich 220 there. But Rich really liked it. He liked being included. He put it on his channel art. He got probably 30 subscribers from it and had a good time. So it was all taken in the spirit in which it was done. T's Good Time Garage is thinking next time we'll have to do something a little different. Not sure what that is, but I'll let you know when I do. Okay, might have to do with a duster. We'll see. Dr. Ghost says, if anyone gets a chance to rewatch Nick's Garage live from earlier tonight, he received the No Name Nationals banner we sent him with many No Name National signatures and shouted out a few of you. That's cool. That's really cool, man. Call outs getting started early. They still got to happen. They got to make it there, make it to reality. Sean O'Brien says, doing my post-race oil change this weekend. Cool. I do my post-race oil change by adding to my leaking CRV. Worked out just fine. Heavens Mopar Scott, sweet victory, the 70 Duster. She told me she wanted to go to the 2026 No Name Nationals for a date night or 3. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, we haven't done anything officially yet. We're going to organize this so that we get the best possible outcome and result and efforts, okay? But we're going to do something so that Scott can have one of his cars at the 5th Annual No Name Nationals in 2026. Scott deserves it more than anybody I know. We're going to help make that happen for him. So we're going to talk a little bit before the event is announced officially. We're going to talk about it this fall. We're going to work through it, some possibilities, and we're going to make sure Scott can get a car there for 2026. So just know that's coming. Is there a link for the drone photo? Not yet. I don't even know if I have the actual copy of that, but I know who does. I'll get it. It'll be out soon. In fact, I've only seen it on a screen. Levi says, who would love to see a ramp truck with a mystery car on it and open trailer behind it with a Laguna on it? I know I would really like to see that. And said that poor 54 is going to ask for his grave by the end of it. Yeah, maybe. Big Mike Soupy Barnes said, I'm in. Scott's awesome. Yes, I think virtually everybody will be in because Scott really deserves this. As you guys know, there is an endless number of things and people that want us to part with our money daily. But I will tell you, Scott is a first-class human being, and he has been at the No Name Nationals every year, and I really want to make it happen for him to have a car there. So we're going to do so. We're going to organize something for Scott. We need to make it happen. So I don't know what that's going to look like yet and how we're going to do it logistically, but we're going to make it happen. And those of you who don't know, on Sunday morning, after most people were gone, Scott was out there in the hedgerow picking up the litter that our people didn't even leave, trying to leave that place better than he found it. And he does this never for credit or accolades or attention or anything. He just does. He does this every year, and it's just the kind of person he is. So he deserves it. He is given to everything and everybody. And it's our turn to do something for him. And I want to make that happen. So when we're going to try to put together and figure out the best way to help him, and then we'll get it rolling. Dakota's saying just put highway gears in and float on down the road. You first. You're closer than Scott. Sean O'Brien says, love when the community helps others with their projects. I agree. American Hot Rod Association Dallas is suggesting to Levi to put a 455 in that ramp truck, and it won't be begging for anything but happiness. Best truck engine ever. That is true. Those do make good tow engines. JB wanted Scott to take his truck down the track. Well, you guys, as you know, a lot of people have made their very first passes down the track in Sykeston at the No Name Nationals, and it's a great place to make your first drag strip passes. And so we're going to help Scott out. We're going to get him rolling, and he's going to be able to take one of his cars down the track in 2026. He does his part. We'll do ours. We'll make it happen. I know I'll be thrilled for him. Bad Tree Blake. He's suggesting to the heathens we should assemble. And we have. Yeah, saw him working on the way out. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, we're gonna help Scott. We'll figure that out, but that's to come. Just know that it's coming. We're gonna do it. But I'm putting it out there because Scott needs to hear. He's got to do his part too. Dakota wants to see Scott's Charger together. Me too. I want to see whatever 100% is going to make it to Sykeston. I don't really even care what it is. It could be the Duster. It could be his Charger. Whatever. But it needs to happen. Scott of Heaven's Mopars. This Scott, J. Russell Finch. He's wanting to bring a ramp truck also, but not perhaps until the 361 Industrial gets swapped out with diesel. Dude, you have, that clock is running. And so I would say, let's look at the project that works and we add ornaments to the trees as we go. Unfinished Project says, got to run. Hey, man, thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Levi says, shout out to Blake for making me nervous enough to red light in the bracket. It's Blake can make people nervous. He's a good bracket racer. Clayton's Toolbox. Hello, sir. J-Bo is here. Hello. Scott with an S. Yes, that's Scott. Danny Boyd made it after fighting his way home through slow, overcrowded, weed-smelling Cincinnati. Sounds like an accurate description. At least around here, when you smell skunk out on the road, it's actually because a skunk got run over. Can't say that everywhere. Sean O'Brien, how long do we have the Edelbrock discount for this year? It is designed to overlap so that when we announce the event, you'll have a little time in there that if you go ahead and re-register, you'll keep it consecutively. It won't drop off. So you'll have it through the rest of the year. We're going to announce the event. We're going to have a little grace period in there, and you'll still have it so that you have time to if you re-register, in a timely manner after the announcement of the 5th annual event, you will stay consecutive and not drop off the roll. Tim 72 Demon, hello. Glad to see you this year. Glad you can make it out. Thumper met a couple 20-year-old Pontiac nuts at Speedway on the 27th. Good to have young people involved. I told him to look up the NNN. Good. Thank you, Thumper. Creedence Chrysler. Hey, everybody. Now that I finally got the subs, hope to see you in 26. Yeller's running good. It's now our daily drive. Oh, right on, man. Come on. You got it. Congratulations. Yeah, no kidding. We want to see Creedence Chrysler there. He's a good dude. Got a good channel, too. Does machine work? Yeah, the 5th annual. Big Mike says it seems surreal. We're already talking about the 5th annual. It seems surreal that, I remember the 1st like it was yesterday. We're talking about the 5th, and it will be here before you know it. And the 5th, I want to be the biggest and best No Name Nationals ever. I thought the quality of the 4th was outstanding. I don't think any No Name Nationals has been of higher quality than the 4th. It's just been outstanding. It was super, super busy, as all of them are for me. I have never had one that wasn't incredibly busy, but I know I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because of how much everybody else enjoyed it. But the 5th, I want to be the biggest and best ever. And we got things in store. And I'll put this up so y'all can see it. Our secretary, Colleen, a.k.a. Mama M3, sent this. Creedence Chrysler Revival's got his 500 subs. There is his channel. Go check him out. And if you feel so inclined, you can certainly still subscribe. I know I am. I've been subscribed to him for a long time. Heavens Mopars, I didn't want to break your truck, JB. Yeah. Well, you're going down the track here in 2026, Scott, so. Thumper says the years have been screaming past me for the last 20. Yeah, it happens. Fifth is going to be legit, as have the first four. Dallas says my feet and face remember the first, and likely for the rest of my life. I've never been so tired and excited at the same time. Yeah. Dean says I'll take the fifth. Blake is talking about snake oil. Okay. Big Mike's been subscribed to Creedence Chrysler for quite some time. Hot Rod Guy Garage saying we're going to see you at the fifth, Dean. I hope so. I'm hoping we have 5 countries represented at the fifth. I hope we have the U.S., Canada, Mexico, Australia, and New Zealand, because those seem like 5 countries we have in just about every chat. We should have those represented at the No Name Nationals. Mama M3, Dean, you better get to work on your subs. Well, if Dean comes out as a spectator, we can forgive him, because it will be awfully hard for him to get a car there. But that said, if he wants to get a car there, I agree. Wouldn't it be something to get a car there from New Zealand and not have your 500 subs? But I've held everybody to that standard, and I would him as well. But he would get it, no doubt about it. Jonathan Reed says, loved being at the first No Name Nationals. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. Hot Rod Guy Garage says, make it happen, Mexican Spec. He can. He'll know. Blake says, start our own UN. Got to be better than the current UN. Current UN is horrible. I bet we can find a car for Dean to run. Oh, sure. Dean just needs to work on getting himself there. And an upside down seat. Yeah, that's true. Mexican Spec. I will sell Dean 1% of my channel. We need you to come from Mexico and Dean to get his subs and come from New Zealand. But Dean will need to get his subs to race, but Dean can still come out and he can totally do this. He's well loved over here. He won't have any problem. We'll get him a rental problem. Oh yeah. All this is totally doable. No need to get wrapped up around it now. We can totally do that. But we got to get Dean in the mindset to want to be here and make it happen and life work out so that he can. It'll be great. Sean O'Brien says Mexican Spec definitely needs to be there to make it happen. Yeah, I know. He's got the cars. He'll be representing Mexico. We've had Canada there most years. So, yeah, Clayton's Toolbox says, I just couldn't take enough time to. Yeah, it's a long commitment. It sure is. But usually we have Canada represented. We like to have Mexico, the United States. We've even had another country represented, California. It's a foreign country too. We've had it represented a few times. Dallas wants Mexican Spec to drive an obvious Mexican Spec car to the No Name, which would be cool. Something you can't get it. That would be really neat. Find a buyer for it here and bring it to the No Name Nationals and race it. As part of the delivery. It'll be awesome. Yeah, because I was buffering there. Dan the IT guy said it was awesome. We need you, Dean. Yep. Heavens Mopars has an unfulfilled call out with Dust Devil I need to bring to fruition. Yes. Danny Boyd's got his groceries put away in time to relax with a glass of aviation gin. My gosh, what is that? I don't even want to know what that is. I don't want to know. It sounds like something Danny Boyd would drink, though. Dean is the buyer. He wants a Fox Body Mustang. But then how does he get it over there? Danny Boyd says, idea if there's ever a rain out, a Brody contest in the wet pavement. No, but we did have some rain before the burnout competition last year, and the track crew at Skelton Raceway is outstanding. They got it mostly dry. You don't have to have it perfectly dry in the burnout pit, not like you do the racetrack, but they got it cleaned up quickly, and we had our burnout competition. Everything was great. We had rain before on the Friday, and it took them a little while, pushed things back a couple hours, got everything dry. Everything was great. So we've never had a rain out. We have had rain at No Name Nationals, but never rain out. Everything has always worked out. Mexican Spec says Dean will drive it to the No Name Nationals after the race, drive it to the port in Texas to ship it home. If that's what y'all want to do, that'd make a great story. American Hot Rod Association Dallas says, I will only race Bobby Frizzell if he does half-track burnouts and dry hops. What do you say, Bobby? Are you in here to answer that? Danny Boyd says September is a pretty safe month for avoiding rain. Yeah, we've always had a little rain, but we've never had anything rained out. It's a great month, though. The weather's great. Everything's great. Thumper says, Dallas, can I do half-track burnouts too? And Dallas says, Thumper, the world is your oyster. Dean says just an easy drive to Arizona. Okay. Danny Boyd wants to see Dallas's T-Bird versus Two Hacks Jeff's T-Bird. 20 years apart. They both have all the livery on them and the silver paint and all that. Would be kind of neat. We got to quit breaking. Dallas has a high gear flaring up, and Jeff broke a ring gear. Jeff breaks stuff. He runs his stuff. When that T-Bird keeps it together, it's awesome. Oh, man. I remember Jeff got like 50-some miles out of the first transmission in his T-Bird, and he's got footage of a burnout. It is one of the gnarliest burnouts I have ever seen in my life. You could just lose the car in this burnout. It's amazing he didn't. I mean, I don't know how he kept the tires on it in this burnout. I mean, he's like, well, I wonder where it went. But, yeah. Thumper says, I'd actually like to stop spinning the entire length of the track. Get it set up right, man. That T-Bird was sweet. Both those T-Birds are sweet. Dakota pushed that T-Bird in the pits. Yeah, things happen. Frizzell asks, Dallas, the Galaxy only knows how to race when it does half-track burnouts and dry hops. Okay. Danny Boyd says, spinning is grinning. NOS GTO says, smoke and mirrors. Well, we have lots of both. Thumper says he thought he blew up the engine at 400 feet, but it was tire smoke. Okay. SRP says, I finally found and bought a big block 66 satellite, 48,000 miles. Okay, cool. Dean says, I'm lucky I was always the guy who drove all the American imports off the ship from Compton, LA to New Zealand. It'll be nice to go in the other direction. Yeah. Cultured Redneck Garage is howdy, folks. I'll be in and out tonight and doing last minute stuff before I leave for Gatlinburg tomorrow. Well, have fun in Gatlinburg. I hope you're having fun there. That's a nice area. I haven't been in years, but I like it. Hot Rod Guy Garage can't wait to see Bobby's Galaxy earn its street cred in 8 days. I'm glad I shook mine down in Sykeston beforehand. Yeah. American Hot Rod Association. Dean, avoid Compton on your way to Sykeston. It'll save your life. Yeah, this is true. Okay, I've got a question here for Big Mike. Wants me to share with everybody. Who knows for certain what the wheel lug pattern is on a 74 to 77 AMC Hornet? What is the bolt circle on a 74 to 77 AMC Hornet? We got the brain trust here, 62 people watching, so somebody's going to know that. Danny Boyd spills the beans on what color his truck is. His F100 is darker blue. Ace Hardware Farm and Implement International Blue. Danny Boyd, what year is your truck? Dakota says, I'd almost challenge Dan and his F100 against me and my D150. Well, why almost? Thumper says the lug pattern is the same on a Hornet as a C-130. Danny Boyd, in the bracket race, it could. Dallas says 5 on 4.5. I think that's a pretty good guess. Let me ask you, how sure are you that you know that? Because I told him I was 90% sure. Then I remembered something that made me think it was higher than that. But I don't want to say that because it could influence the chat. Who's asking? Big Mike. The answer should be the same no matter who's asking. Bigfoots and Mopars. It's been over a year since I've seen it, but a guy is hoping to bring an old Plymouth next year. Yeah, man, right on. Tim's asking, is that a peek into the hoopty entry for 2026 No Name Nationals? Who knows? You never know what Mike's going to do. You never have any idea. Oh my gosh, indecisive Tim here. What are you doing? 5 on 114.3 millimeter. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I hope that didn't push anything useful out of my brain. Dallas says, I believe all the old AMCs were the same as Ford and Mopar cars. Yeah, I'm thinking it was the big bolt pattern Mopar and Ford were the same, 5 on 4.5, I think. But I'm hoping that one of our AMC guys in here can confirm. Junkyard D just says, Plymouth Nation. Heavens Mopar says, we have a Hornet station wagon, 5 on 4.5. Had Mopar wheels on it. That's what I was thinking. I had seen the C-body wheels on those AMCs. So there you go. I think we got a good enough answer for you there, Mike. We got someone who has one. Mexican Specs said I can put the wheels for my Dart on my Sprint or Spirit. So there you go. That's close. Dakota says millimeters. We use Freedom units here. I don't know. I mean, I like a 9mm pistol. They have their place, just not many. Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell says AMC cars are 5 on 4.5, like Ford and some Mopars. Yeah, I think you've got enough here to say that that it's pretty sure that's what it is. So there you go. I'm going with that final answer, 5 on 4.5, and that's what I thought it was too. Danny Boy says the Ford F-Series and vans were 5 on 5.5. My van, 81 and up Dodges, had the 5 on 5.5. 80 and back had 5 on 4.5. And because I want to keep the van's original wheels, I'm going to have to do something different because I got an 8 3/4 rear end for it. So we'll figure that out. Danny Boyd says, like Dodge, but Ford and Dodge use different hub pile sizes. Yes, they do. Dallas says, I have no frame of reference for an idea, but Cultured Redneck Garage says, this may be the year to make a certain yellow Plymouth pull one of my VW's No Name Nationals. Yes, it is. This is the year for that to happen. We want to see it, Kyle. I've never, ever seen a Plymouth pulling a Volkswagen on a trailer. It's so cool. I want to see it. This is the year. If we all make this the year, it will really, that's why it will be the year, if we all make it the year. See, that's the thing. If everybody follows through with their ideas, it'll be the most incredible year ever. J-Bo says, no metric on the moon. How do you know? Rapid Transit J says, cop wheels look great on Jeep XJs. I can see that. I can see that. That does sound like a good combination now that you say it. Heavens Mopars, the Hornet wagon is for sale if anyone wants it. Has a 6-cylinder in it now. Hasn't run in years. Solid car. Needs some love. So there you go. Dean says 114.3 millimeter pitch center spacing. Time them out. No, that's all right. It's like he timed himself out. He hadn't been in here in a little while. Bad Tree Blake says cop car wheels are top 5. Yeah, they are. Only thing, they are a little heavy. I actually have a video on my channel weighing a police wheel, and it definitively shows what the weight difference is over the plain steel. I do have a short on my channel about that where I put them on the scale. Dean says an inch means something. Yes, it means 25.4 millimeters. Chrome Magnums. Oh, there's a whole going down a hill with that, with the stampings and all that. Oh, my gosh. Thumper says that Hornet wagon is tempting, but he has enough price. I know the feeling. Dallas says Gen 3 Hemis look great on XJs too. Yes, they do. Ryan Barsness is here. Hello. Mexican Spec says, in what condition is it? And does it have a rod knock? Captain Do says, I got back working on that rat truck Dodge here. Hear this, I got the horrible Holly carb off and tried to fire it up without the carb. Why would you do that? Just because you've seen something puking gas into an intake with no carburetor? Is that why you would do it? Blake is not a fan of the center lines. They're okay. If you're going to do center lines, I like the satin ones. They're okay. Thumper's imagining a balloon-injected Hornet wagon gasser. Yes. J-Bo says 5 on 4.5 bolt pattern on the Lunar Rover. Okay. Blue Grit Walter says, I thought it was interesting that when his friend's 29 Model A with the factory wire wheels had a flat, I gave him the spare on my 86 F-150 to get it home, and it fit. Neat. Believe it or not, I went to high school with a guy who drove a 29 Model A. We have a mutual friend that sometimes watches this. If he does, he can comment. He'll know whose it was. It was yellow and black. Had a flathead in it. Bigwoods and Mopar says Kragers are for racing. Kragers, yeah, they're heavy, but the old school cars, a lot of them around, including mine. Dallas says center lines go on certain era cars, just like Keystones. Yes, I'd agree with that. And the 73 Dart Sport, they look right at home on. Mohawk is here, says hello, and Crystal says hi too. Glad y'all could join us. Creedence Chrysler likes the center lines, but the slots are better. Yeah, everybody's got preferences on wheels. Dakota says, was it John Milner that raced the black 55 Chevy in two-lane blacktop? Captain Dews, no, I check and try to get it to run. It ran for a few more seconds than it did before it did and did not get. What in the world? What is that? What's going on there? I did not go to school with John Milner. Not quite old enough. That movie was just a few years before I was born. Outfits Russell, the 2025 No Name Nationals Burnout Competition champion, is here. If you guys have not seen his run in the Burnout pit, sending some tires to Valhalla in our Burnout pit, you need to check that out. No, American Graffiti. I was trying to think 55 Chevy. I was thinking of the scoop on like Andy Wood's truck. That's what I was thinking. Regardless, both movies are older than me. Danny Boyd says, some race cars source air from under the car to cool through the backing plates. Clayton's Toolbox says, speaking of wheels, when did those steel modular wheels come out? The ones with chrome and a black center. Got to think about that. 55 was in two-lane. That's what I was thinking. Who was the girl in the Corvette? Where? What are we talking about there? Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Amazingly, it looked like one that used to be here locally. It sat in the garage for 20-some years, and now it's just gone. I saw it, the door getting opened up. Looked like so somebody apparently finally got that guy off of it. And now there's just a mower sitting in there. 55 Chevy sat down the street from me for years and years. Of course, then again, a 69 Roadrunner sat down the street from me for years and years and years and years, but it's now here. Wasn't that Suzanne Summers? Which movie are you talking about? Pontius TA was the villain's car. Was it the same car, Bigfoot Mark? Because it looked like it. Talking about that. Was it blue? I can't remember. But I remember the villain's car in Corvette Summer. I just don't remember the color. Thumper says Suzanne Summers was on a 55 or 56 T-Bird. I don't know. Other than Three's Company, she was in Magnum Force, Clint Eastwood movie. I can't remember what much else she was in. Danny Boyd says that was just one car. You can tell they used a different car, maybe a 57 for the rollover scene in American Graffiti. Outfits Russell seems to give a more definitive account. She drove a 55 T-Bird in American Graffiti. Cool. My dad drove a 56 T-Bird when he got married. Milner drove the 32 Ford, right? One-Eyed Cat, there was a scene in Corvette Summer, had a 62 Valiant to gas pumps. I vaguely remember. I've seen that movie a few times. It's a good movie. Clayton's Toolbox saying those wheels are from American Wheel or something like that. I remember seeing lots of them in the 90s. Like they wrecked that Camaro in Vanishing Point. Yeah, you could very clearly see that was not a Challenger they wrecked at the end of Vanishing Point. It is a Camaro. Harrison Ford drove the 55 in Graffiti. Okay. Pretending to be a carved guy, Vic. I drive an 07 Rabbit today. Cool. Bigfoot Mark says there's a 63 post-drag car in American Graffiti, too. Vic, how is Stone Soup doing? Dallas think he's talking about Convo Pros. Maybe. Vintage Adventure Drives. He'll be here for a minute before he gets to hop back in the ambulance and go back to my station. Even while at work saving lives, he can still drop in here and say hi. Well, good to see you. The 2025 No Name 500 Cinderella Award winner, Vintage Adventure Drives. Big Mike saw the double feature Corvette Summer and Eat My Dust at the drive-in when I was in high school. Cool. Danny Boyd says, don't get in an airplane if Harrison Ford is the pilot. That sounds like reasonably good advice. Auto Salvage Outlaws X6 says, hello, everyone. Hello, sir. Glad you could make it here. Sean O'Brien also liked the crash at the end of Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. Well, unlike Vanishing Point, that really was a Charger. Although I think they filmed like some other angles and stuff, and also may have burned up a Nova. I can't remember exactly what the deal was with that. It's a good movie. You know what's wild too? I've seen that movie, and I went to a town of Lakeview, Oregon, where Thunder Ranch is, and amazingly, the town of Lakeview looks a lot like the town that movie Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry started in, with the grocery store. Their grocery store looked just like that. I mean, even all these years later, in 2017, when I was at Thunder Ranch in Lakeview, Oregon, it looked just like that. That town is like 30, 40 years behind. And the cars are all old there because it's the high desert in Oregon. It's amazing. I've never been anywhere quite like that. Oh, and mule deer. So it's these 6, 7 foot tall mule deer just roaming all through the streets and sidewalks. People putting groceries in their trunk at this store, not even looking at them. Unbelievable. And I've never been anywhere like that before. Mohawk says, that's why I like the movie Death Proof. All those scenes were real. Yeah, maybe it was just too weird for me. I mean, kind of. It's like when a guy who's not a car guy wants to make a car movie, and it was just too weird. And I like Quentin Tarantino, but that movie was just a little too weird for me. Bigfoots and Mopars. Tanner, glad to give up the emergency life. Now I get paid to watch people wake up. Yeah, that's a better deal. A time capsule. Yeah, it really was. And the store, because you're 2 hours away from the nearest Walmart, the store was more like a general store too. It was neat. It was a neat place to go. Really liked visiting there. In West GTO, a neighbor of mine had number 110 VIN 55 T-Bird. Sat in a garage, neglected but drivable. It was a shame of it. Yeah, well, at least it still exists. I mean, we got people taking, E-body Challengers and just cutting them up for scrap for really no reason. I mean, so it's, there's worse things that happen. Captain Deuce said some old supermarkets are still the same for over 50 years, and some got closed down in the COVID. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff got closed down in the COVID crisis. But anyway, they disappear. We had an old supermarket like that too, and for whatever reason, they basically demolished everything but the steel beams. They left the concrete steel beams and took everything else out. Auto Salvage Outlaws. He said, anyone in the medical field I have the most respect for. Yes. Got lots of folks in the medical field in here in the chat. We appreciate what they do. Barrow's Garage says, hello, everybody. Mexican Spec said, an old supermarket makes a good warehouse to park cars. Believe me, if I could remotely afford it, I'd love to have that property down there. But they've torn down everything but the beams. I mean, what are you going to do now? Start over with a roof on? It's not practical now. But it's in a wonderful location. Just too big a pancake for me to flip. Zero G Mopars. Hello. Good to see you, sir. Mohawk says there was a big debate a while ago on social media if in Dirty Harry, no, it was Dirty Mary Crazy Larry, if that car was green or yellow. I always thought it was yellow, but I'm not the one to ask colors. I have a color palette about like a dog. Big Mike says, unfortunately, the IGA grocers were pushed out with Walmart around here. Yeah, everywhere. I mean, it was like that the town I'm from. It's like that the town I live in. Sean O'Brien says there's still an IGA there. Good to see Sean's car on the track. Yes, it was. Glad Sean was there. Danny Boy said, look yellow to him. Yeah, I mean, I thought so. First I've ever heard any of that. Anything being green. Vic says it was like a crazy meeting, greenish yellow, hurts to look. Yeah, I don't know. I just always thought it was yellow. And I like both of those colors, but Dakota says he thought it was green. If I had one and wanted to paint it like that, I'd go longer. And maybe. I really don't know. Zero G, are you still doing creator how-to videos? I need to learn how to edit. Yes. We do a couple of them every season, so look for one first of the year. We might do one this fall, though, if you're interested. If enough people are interested, we might do that. Also, Zero G, if there's going to be a No Name Nationals you want to make this one coming up. The 5th annual, I want to be the biggest and best ever. I'm going to try to rally all the OGs and say, hey, if you want to come back, this is the year to come back and check it out. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff this year. NYSGTO says Mexican spec, that's a dream come true. In New York, taxes ruin that dream. I pay $30,000 on a tiny building. Oh. Captain Dew claims it's yellow. Vintage Adventure Drives thought it was lime green. Yeah, I don't know. Never even thought about it before. Bear Rose said, since Stephen Holtz with another project yesterday. More good things. Come on, just drive it. You got it going on. ASO's planning to be there. Blue Rig Garage says the movie Death Proof was funny when they filmed the high-speed chase scene. They were getting passed by highway traffic. Yeah, maybe. Hippie Long says J.B. Hunt was a childhood friend of Sam Waltham. You mean Walton of Walmart. Should be Sam Walton. The Walton family, it's wild because that company has so much wealth that even where it was split up among his children, they are on very high ranked on the list of world billionaires individually, even after that money was split up. NYS GTO says $30,000 annual. I would never go for that. I would never want to live there and pay that. Need Team NSB in full form at the next No Name Nationals. I second that. Need those guys there. Lee and Dean are awesome. We need them there. 6th Street Garage says, anyone see White Lightning? Burt Reynolds drove a 71 Galaxy with a 4-speed in some scenes and auto in some scenes. The scene with the engine was a Mustang. Yeah, I've never looked at any of that, actually. It's interesting. Captain Dew says he thinks it's lime green, maybe top, but yeah, I don't have any idea, man. No idea. Dakota says White Lightning is a top-notch movie, one of my favorites. Fire code charges another $5,000. That's called extortion. Would never live in that tyrant state that does that. Y'all need to take your state back. Take your state back. Torches and pitchforks and fix it. That's ridiculous. For a dry sprinkler. A dry sprinkler system. What is that? What is a dry sprinkler system? Sounds to me like something that they're just stealing your money to make you have. Big Mike says, I actually worked on Sam and Helen Walton's house in Bentonville, Arkansas. Their daughter Alice now resides there. That's cool. That's neat. The people who are painting for me at my property in Bluefield, one of my properties over there, they, well, she's from Ohio, and they used to live there, and said that they did a bunch of work they painted Jerry Springer's house. They got the bid and did his house when he was still living, and said he was the nicest, most gracious host for the workers coming to paint his house. So he was just so nice. I thought that was cool. That was a neat story. Danny Boyd says, how about the Torino and Hooper? Buff Del Campo reminds me of the studio motor pool guy who showed that car to Bert and what's his face, Jan Michael Vincent. Yeah, I like a lot of these old car movies. You know, winter's a good time to catch up on old car movies. Like a dry fire extinguisher? Oh, you're talking like dry powder dry powder sprinklers? Yuck. Oh, well, I guess it could be worse. Sam Walton is spitting in his grave right now. Huh? Maybe. NYSGTO says, zero water use 400 per month, just in case the air pressure system for fire. Man, I hope you're making good money to pay for all that. That's horrible. Danny Boyd says, Jerry Springer bounced a check to a hooker when he was mayor of Cincinnati. Well, his check cleared to the folks I know who painted his house. That's all they knew. ASO says, when Sam was over Walmart, it was a great place to work. My cousin has been at Walmart this fall for 30 years, this month, I believe. 30 years. He has made a career there. Has a good job. Has a good job. Good career. 30 years. He says, no, dry as in air. What does that do? I don't even know what that does. The original 1976 Gumball Rally. Cool. Buff Del Campo says, hookers that take checks. Are y'all comparing notes now? Did her make manager yet? I think the thing that keeps him from being a store manager is just he doesn't want to move. And they will move a store manager around. And he's got roots where he is. His family's where he is. I understand it. But I think that's really about the only reason he doesn't have his own store. NYSGTO says, no, I'm dying with it. New York is anti-business. They are. They are. Well, that's what happens when the wrong people just are allowed to just plunder you politically. That's what they do. Blue Grit Walker says, I believe a dry sprinkler system is charged with compressed air to keep the water back until a nozzle is triggered. That way you do not have to worry about pipes freezing. Okay. I had a friend who used to do this for a living, sprinkler systems. And occasionally he comments in here. I'm sure he won't tonight, as luck would have it. But if he did, he can opine on this. He's in here on rare occasion. Dougster says, I load out maybe 5 Walmart trailers a day at my work. Cool. Excellent. Cultured Redneck Garage says, I hope for your state's and city's sake, y'all don't get Mam Danny in as mayor. I don't know. Hello, Mo Parquet. Big Mike says, we've been watching a series lately called Dark Winds, set in the early 70s. Plenty of cool nostalgic cars and trucks. You know, a lot of my favorite TV shows and series are ones that have nothing to do with cars, but because of the setting, they're just car shows. Like, let's face it, that's the reason we like the show Chips. Had nothing to do with the cop dramas or any of that. It had to do with Chips was nothing but a car show because it was about highway patrol. So it was just a whole car show the entire time. That's what we liked about Chips. Captain Deuce says the cop car in the Gumball Rally drove by the fake cops is a 71 Dodge Polara. He used to drive one that was yellow. I got to tell you, so if I was going to have a big full-size boat Mopar, what I always thought would be so cool would be to have like a 77-8 model Fury in dark metallic green, like on that show Hunter. You remember with Fred Dreyer? That was cool. And it would have to have a 400 and a 727 and some highway gears. It'd be nice. I want it with AC and smooth and quiet. Just be awesome. If I was going to have a Malaise era Mopar, that would be it. Dougster says that Lady Dougster works in the building. Fire suppression systems. Okay, cool. Vintage Adventure Drive says, you'd think I'd know a thing or two about fire since my dad is a firefighter, but nope, I'm an EMT, not a fireman. My dad was a firefighter. I don't know a thing or two about fire. He was a city fireman. Danny Boyd says, if I could buy this building I live in, I'd put in the greatest sprinkler system known to man. But first, you'd find out what they cost, and you would say, there is no way I'm going to put the sprinkler system in. Mopar K says, I installed a rear end gear today. Felt cool. Oh, right on. You going to put content on your channel about putting that gear in? Was it an 8 3/4? What housing was that in? Rabbit Transit Jay says, Dark Winds is a cool series. Now, Jay, you were watching that series Duster, which I had only heard about, and I never saw any episodes. I know it got canceled. So tell us about Dark Winds, and we'll see if there's any interest in here. I like old cars. I kind of like series that have them. But I really do not watch much TV at all. In fact, only watch a little bit because I kind of by default inherited Mom's TV, which I had given her about 10 years before, and it still works. So I watch a little bit of TV now, but not much. Install, put in gear roll. Okay, I was going to say, if you're setting up a gear, we want to see that. That's pretty cool. Adam 12, muscle car, era cars. Yes. Emergency, the show Emergency had a lot of cool cars too. See, Three's Company is one that could have had a lot of cool cars, but it didn't because everything was just sitting in that apartment and stuff. But the shows that had a lot of outside stuff had all cool cars. Mexican Spec says there's a channel that ruined Chips Clips, whatever this. Well, I'll say that you could see a lot of cars being recycled in a lot of scenes of Chips if you watch it. You would see a lot of that. Barrow says he likes Dazed and Confused. Can't stand the movie, but likes the cars. I can see that. I would agree with you on that. Brad's Restorations. Thanks for the good time at No Name Nationals. Hey, man, that's not just me. That's all of us. It's the collective effort of the community that makes for such a good time at No Name Nationals. Could you imagine how boring that event would be if all it was stuff I did? I mean, I can rent a track and light plants and all this stuff and organize stuff. But man, without all of you guys making the show, there's nothing there. It's a collective effort. So thanks to everybody who was there. And when you look at it, you can see what makes it special is everybody being there. Everybody's got to come out. And the parquet is going to run. No Name Nationals. All right. Well, you got, 340-some-ish days approximately to do it. So get your AHRA rule book and work toward it. Dakota says, I'd like to have a Fury like the one in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. I'd even get into the rabbit business. I can see you in the rabbit business. And speaking of this drive shaft safety loop, we do have tech lives with Deke. We had actually 1.5 tech lives with Deke this past year. We had questions about drive shaft loops this year. And what I'll say is we've given a little bit of grace on them. But if you're going to put one in to start with, put it in the right place. But that said, we're going to cover that kind of stuff. But get the AHRA rule book before you put things like that on your car. Auto Salvage Outlaws wants to know if Dakota is coming, or y'all, Dakota and Hunter, coming next year. I sure hope so. I sure hope so. Loved having Dakota and Hunter there. And man, if you saw the stuff people drove across the country, you can't say you're afraid of making that drive. Come on, man. Do we need to get Lee and Dean to pick you up on the other end of Florida? I mean, come on. Blue Grit Garage says, I was going to store a few cars there while getting my garage floors done. Glad I did not. Captain Deuce says, this 71 Dodge 4-door came with a 2-barrel 383, 727, green interiors, vinyl seats, cherry bomb glass pack mufflers. Okay, maybe. Big Mike says, I've always pined for my 68 Fury 3. It wasn't really anything special, but it was to me. Yeah. Cope had a Fury. He had one that had an engine fire, and then he pulled, I believe, the 440 out of it and put in his 68 Coronet. The building is steel and concrete. Amusing. Rapid Transit J says, Duster was a really good series. Unfortunately, okay, I never saw any of it. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I remember installing a rear gear for the first time. It was a GM 8.5 10-bolt. Yeah, I've done one of them too. I hate working on them, but at least this one was out of the car. So you can do all that shims and case spreader stuff. You're not laying on your back on the ground under the car to do it. He went from a 256 to a 410. Oh boy, was that ever a change. I've now swapped gears in a Chrysler 8 1/4 and a 4.9. Dude, you're doing all the harder ones first. You're doing them in order of hardness, because that 8.5 is harder than the 8 1/4. The 8 1/4 is harder than the 4.9 The 9 is harder than the 8 3/4. Well, yeah, I'd call them about a draw, but you just keep making it easier as you go. 6th Street, speaking of Cope, 6th Street Garage asks, how many Chevys can you see in the end of the Blues Brothers? That's the most John Cope question ever. Chevy's not. If he's lurking, just us saying the word Blues Brothers, you watch, he'll appear. Something will just, his little spidey senses will start tingling and he'll appear in here. Hippie Long says, my pet peeve is new cars being named from old cars. Makes me getting Maverick and Dark Horse. Yeah, I never cared for that. I never did like that. It's okay to leave the names in the past. It really is. NYS GTO says, I'm running to a red state with a big vintage car culture. Cool. Excellent. Do you mind saying which big red state you're running to? You don't have to give your address, certainly, but what big red state you want to run to? New York has a great car culture. Yeah, a lot of places do, and they just get snuffed out from all the regulations and nonsense. It's a pain. Mopar cases, we appreciate you. Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. We do our best for all of y'all. Dougster says, tomorrow I'm going to the old Joliet prison in a bluesmobile. They're showing the movie inside the prison yard. That place would be uncle. One year, I'd like to do that. I knew this year it wasn't going to be possible, but I really wouldn't mind doing that because I think y'all did it last year. If you do it again next year, you know about when, I may plan that because I have never seen the movie The Blues Brothers, and I think to go see it with Cope and the Dougster would be super cool. And maybe Jeff or whomever goes to that and make a party out of it, but I would be for that. I knew I couldn't do it this year, but that would be cool. No Park cases encouraging people. That's what we do here. And I will tell you that it doesn't work for everybody, as we found. Can't please all the people. But that's what we want to do, is see people get the best out of themselves. Auto Salvage Outlaw says, to the ones that need 500, start now and you'll make it. Yes, start early. Lots of folks here have got good advice and set a good example on how to do that. Kerosene Cucumber says, on Adam 12, there's a Vega wagon in every episode, it seems like. Well, that's enough for me to watch it because I love Vega wagons. Dean Stevens says, Mopar never had a Malay's error, only Malay's mistakes. The principle in getting rid of the 400 and 440 big block. Yeah, it's strange. So, not to digress eternally on this, but the idea is that Chrysler was going to have the ball stud Hemi, and it was going to consolidate the best features of the low deck and the high deck big blocks. And so that instead of having different big blocks, instead of having a Hemi, a tall deck and a low deck, a B and an RB, they were going to consolidate it all, and they were going to have a canted valve big block low deck like a big block Chevy, and replace them all and have that one big block in 2 cubic inch displacements, big bore, one short stroke, one long stroke, I think a 400 and a 444. And what they really could have done was just keep it all low deck, and have different strokes, what they could have done. But that didn't wind up happening. Instead, what they did is they scrapped the whole big block line after 78 model year and went to small blocks. Unfortunately, because both Chevrolet and Ford, the other two of the big three, kept their big blocks for a very long time into the future. And that, to me, is a bummer that Chrysler did that. But as I think if Chrysler had that canted valve head engine to replace the big blocks, it would have been killer. I'm talking about a killer street rod engine. Would have been awesome. But that's just not what happened. Anyway. Vintage Adventure Drive says, don't forget I towed my car with a 66 C20 and a 411 gear, sagging off 4-speed and a 327. I drove it that way for 527 miles. Right on. You know what? That's one of the stories that you don't see much from in the No Name Nationals. I thought was such a cool story. So for those who don't know, Tanner, what are you, like 12 or 13? How old are you, man? I think you're literally like in your early 20s, right? The guy doesn't own a car that's not eligible for antique tags. Like his newest car is in the 70s. So he towed his satellite with a 66 Chevy pickup with deep gears, a 4-speed, and a 327, and drove it 527 miles from Oklahoma to the Boot Hill of Missouri and back. Telling you what, when you see that kicks excuses out of a lot of people. So right on, man. That is wicked cool. When I saw the tow rig and everything he had, I said, that is too cool. Captain Deuce's Duster's canceled for a second season. I don't think it finished its first. I thought they cut it the middle of the first. Danny Boy would like to find a 370 to 411 for 9-inch center section for his truck. I don't know. I don't know where you find that. I'm not plugged into Ford parts. I have every ratio just about of 8 3/4 gear. I mean, I think I have everything from I got a 276. I don't have the one higher or numerically lower than that. I got everything from 276 to a 557. Clayton's Toolbox says, I agree. I don't like what they do with old car names like the Mustang SUV, Bronco Sport. No, I hate that where they've taken the Mustang name and recycled it onto an electric SUV. Oh, what an abomination that thing is. Zero G Mopars replaced the front axle seal in the Dana 60 and a Ram 3500. Pretty much have to remove the suspension axles and diff to replace the seal. Ugh. And that's all big, heavy stuff too. Ugh, yuck. That's one of those jobs that you just leave forever and just don't get around to because you know what a pain it is. And then you pretty much have to turn the phone off and put it away and just spend all day torching, hammering, working. I hate jobs like that. When you finally do them, it just feels like it just beats you to death and stomps on you to get it done. So I get it. Dog Garage has never seen the Blues Brothers. That's wild. I have it on Laserdisc. I know that, but I think when I go watch it, what I may do is, with Cope and Dougster, if they do this thing again next year to Joliet Prison, I may go with them to do that. Sounds like a good time. I may make that happen. If they do it next year and can get it on the schedule. This year, it's just no way. It was all I could do to get everything done for No Name Nationals. And I knew that. And catching up and all of that, and all this stuff with work and the house renovations and all of that, there's no way. But I may be able to make that happen for next year and get that scheduled and commit and do it. And when I commit and do things, I commit and do things. So. One-Eyed Cat says, cool, I know the missus is home, parked out front. Well, tell Wendy to come on in here. It's time for her to come in and let everybody know she's home from work. That's what she does at 9:30 p.m. in the East. Vintage Adventure Drives heading back to my station. See y'all next time I can. Right on, man. We'll see you soon. Oh, Captain Deuce says he found a young kitten, orange ginger tabby, about 6 to 8 weeks old. Well, take good care of it. Find its home. Most animals are better than most people. Kerosene Cucumbers. The only thing I didn't understand was why the band was in prison. I don't know. So I don't know. Mopar K-Saw. Rolls Royce convertible. Insane. I wouldn't own a car that expensive. Me neither. And European, no thanks. I agree with that too. Cousin Cletus in the chat. Hello, Cletus. Cletus, by the way, I'll not say anything yet. He's working on something pretty cool that I think is going to come to fruition for the No Name Nationals in 2026. Again, I'm telling you guys, 2026 is the year. So if you've been laying back in the weeds, maybe you came to the first or second or third and joined us for maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years or whatever, you don't want to miss the fifth. Cletus is working on something cool. We talked about it a couple of days ago. And when it's ready for that to be put out there, we'll let you know. So, again, lots of cool stuff in the works. Dougster says the only living relative of the ball stud Hemi is the Australian Hemi slant. Maybe. Is that so? If it is, I didn't know that. Clint Street Machine says, hello, party people. Cool. Howdy, Clint. Kerosene Cucumber says the use of violence to apprehend the Blues Brothers has been approved. Okay. Use of violence or use of force? .38 Racing says, I don't think anyone had more fun at No Name Nationals than Tanner. Cardboard Rich. Yeah, you missed us breaking in the 440 at No Name Nationals. Wasn't perfect, but it got done. Yeah, poor Don. Don was sorting out bugs the whole time. Uh, but he showed up with a lot more car this year. And he was sorting out bugs. It happens. We get it. But let me tell you, I can see now that because he got to this benchmark and has all the big pieces in place, the one-eyed cat is bringing the heat 2026. We're going to see that car take a big leap forward for 2026. He's going to have it all sorted out this year. He'll be ready to rock and roll. Duxter said, okay, good. Duxter said he got his replacement wheel and tire mounted just this evening. I put it back on beta. Oh, good, good. So for those of you who missed it, Duxter was about to roll out of the gate at the No Name Nationals on Sunday with 3 broken wheel studs. And if it had not been for the wheel doing this and Tim noticed it from a distance, probably from 50 yards away, and us catching Duxter, he probably wouldn't have made it out of Sykeston like that. But there's a short on his channel you can watch. I got a short on my channel about it too, and we got him patched up and rolling. So anyway, check that out on Duxter's channel. I'll tell you what, it couldn't have picked that combination held together exactly as long as it needed to. He couldn't have picked a better place to break down hundreds and hundreds of miles from home. Auto Salvage Outlaw says 9-inch Ford stuff's hard to find. We would have thought when I was a kid that would never have happened, but here we are. Junkyard D, is there a best tow rig award? I don't know. I mean, not yet. There was the oldest tow rig. Well, there's always an oldest tow rig. A lot of us drive old vehicles there. Left turn Dodge, as I have from a 294 to a 514 and 8 3/4, except for 323. I have everything from 276 to 557, including the 323. TM72 Demon. I feel left out. They had a Duster series, but no Demon series. I don't think Demon would be about cars anyway. Yeah, probably not. Although, if they were going to have a Demon series, you'd have to have all the people picketing to get them to change the name for the 73 model year, which they did successfully. Mexican Spec said there's a Lucifer series. Oh my gosh. I don't even care what it is. I don't want to know what it is. I don't want to see it. Duxter says my friend's Cutlass drag car had a 600 gear back in the day. But the stick shift series that used to run here at the Motor Mile Dragway, and the guys used to run at Elk Creek, a lot of them were running small blocks. I know that Johnny Metcalf ran a 650 in the back of his Maverick. It was like a 306-inch engine with a 650, and he had a Liberty transmission in it. Wow. Keep the front wheels off. They're 2 gears. Loved that car. And sold it for a song. So much fun. Great people. I wish I could do more with those guys like we used to. I'd love for a lot of them to come out to No Name Nationals. So I'm going to be talking to them in the off season. Say, hey, any of you guys that are doing this stuff on your YouTube channels, why don't you trailer out here? A few of you come trailer out for some match racing. Let's have some fun in Sykeston. Left turn Dodge. I totally approve of, if I can point to it here, this petty ride you got here. That is cool, man. I like seeing that kind of stuff on the drag strip too, by the way. Russell has done it. We've seen some roundy round cars on the drag strip at No Name Nationals. Rabbit Transit. Which gear are you going to run in Triple Crown when you get your 500? Now we're talking. An old stock car in Triple Crown? Perfect. Clayton asks, I'm not normally a Dodge person, but does the 8 3/4 have retaining axles like a 9-inch Ford? What common cars make good donors for an 8 3/4? Well, yes, it does have those. If you're talking about the non-C-clip, correct? Yes, 8 3/4 does not have C-clip axles. 8 3/4, one big difference between it and the 9-inch Ford. The 9-inch Ford's got that support bearing out on the end of the pinion gear, and an 8 3/4 does not. But 8 3/4 is still very strong. The pinion in an 8 3/4 is bigger than a 9-inch Ford. They come in 3 sizes, all of which are bigger than a 9-inch Ford. Common cars, yeah, they were in A bodies. Those are expensive and crazy hard to find, but they were in B bodies. You can still find those in C bodies, vans, trucks, all of that. If you're going to get one, but they come in all different widths. So you kind of need to figure out which width you need. And of course, the wider, basically when it comes to an 8 3/4, the wider the housing, the cheaper it is. And so the 8 3/4 is the most expensive. The truck and the C-body and station wagon stuff is the cheapest. But they're all super strong. If you're going to narrow one, just get the cheap one. And also, they come in different chunks. So you can get a 472 with a straight 1 3/4 inch pinion. You can get a 489 with a tapered 1 7/8 pinion. A 741 is the small pinion, which I believe is 1 3/8, but that's still a stout. There's nothing wrong with those. But you'll have more gear selection than 742 and 489. The weakness of a 489 is they have a crush sleeve. So the hot ticket, the strongest 8 3/4 you can run is a 489 with a solid spacer instead of the crush sleeve. And that is probably your best bet and best way to go. But find your housing out, just whatever. If you're going to narrow, it anyway and move your spring perches and all of that, just get a cheap one out of a truck or something. It's the way I'd go. When we have a local yard here, it's not really local, it's about 50 miles from here, but we have a yard here that does the all you can carry but back then it was $65, all you could carry, right? And if it was 2 people carrying stuff together, it was $130 for those 2 people. If it was 3 people, like a team of 3 carrying something, like, 3 people together carrying an engine, with like boards to hold it up or something, it would be, 65 times 3. I was like, what was that, 185? Anyway, I remember the first year that we went to that thing, some friends of mine, they got some instrument panels, coolant overflow bottles, carburetors, a bunch of stuff, a radiator, and there was one thing out of there I wanted. It was an 8 3/4 out of a $65 Dodge pickup. I said, man, it's so cheap. I got to do this. So I remember getting that thing, deadlift, alternating grip, carrying it out of there. And you had to walk, it was something like 50 feet. You had to walk a 50-foot course without setting anything down. You had to get it across there to get all you could carry for $65. So we had bungee cords going all around my neck and everything else, holding all these other parts. And then when it was my turn, I picked that rear end up and carried it all the way across, drum to drum, the 50 feet or whatever. There were people taking pictures. I've never found a picture of that. It was at, I think it was the Cunningham brothers, their pick and save in Lynchburg or Forest or wherever. And it was, it was forever. It was like 20-some years ago. I'd love to find a picture of that. But anyway, I'm in there carrying out this 8 3/4 out of a truck. And, those make great donors and they're cheap. That's why that's why it wasn't taken out of there. If that was in an A body or a B body, it'd been gone a long time ago. Auto Salvage Outlaw says he's going to run down the track just to say $1 million man ran the track. Well, yeah, I can see that. Left turn Dodge is probably a 488. Whew, your engine better have a lot of revs, a lot of breathing to do to run that kind of gear, even in the 8th. Of course, you're being a circle tracker. You probably got something that can rev too. Mexican spec, why they had their instruments, to me, was the question. Barrow says, if you have to bump the No Name Nationals up a week so you can watch the Blues Brothers, that's good. Well, I don't know exactly when that would be, though. I really don't know exactly. Plus, it's a week before Harvest. Yeah, I don't know exactly. Well, Parquet is going to Popeyes. Don't start any fights while you're there. YouTube's got plenty of that on it. Left turn Dodge has ideas. Cool. I like it. Blue Grit Garage says, Mr. Boyd, by the time you get a used 9-inch center section, a rebuild kit, some gears, and have someone set it up, you can get a new limited slip one from Summit or Speedway. Yeah, that's probably true. The 5th year No Name Nationals will be the biggest and best yet. Always a great time, but this one will be off. They're all awesome. And in different ways, they've had different things that make them awesome. But yes, I plan for the 5th annual No Name Nationals to be incredible. You won't want to miss it. Thumper says they apparently crashed a record number of Dodge and Plymouth taxi cabs in the Blues Brothers. Yeah, I think so. And wasn't it maybe like a neighboring police department? They crashed a bunch of like C-bodies or something for that. Tim72 Demon says it was great to meet Mr. and Mrs. One-Eyed Cat. Indeed. If you've not met Don and Wendy, you're missing out. We love Don and Wendy. And if you haven't seen my my new intro, if you've not yet seen my new, you know what I'll do? For those of you who weren't here, I'm going to show you my intro. You know, it's worth doing it. I'm going to play it again so y'all can see the intro that we played because I changed it up a little bit. So just watch this. So anyway, our friend Lars made that. Just something a little different I did for the intro this time. Left Turn Dodge says you can buy every part for the 9-inch do. Thumper says the same. Yes, I know you can. Blue Grid says, I wonder if you came out okay with the No Name Nationals. I'm still here. I'm alive. I really want to see a little higher car count. You know, I think that the event needs that financially. But that said, I absolutely will not seek a higher car count at the expense of the community and its standards and the kind of people we have. So do not look for any change in the community standards. Those are first and foremost, and I believe that we absolutely will have a higher car count within those same community standards. Wendy's here. Hello. Glad you're here, Wendy. Evans Mopar says, Angels brought you safely to the No Name Nationals. He had thought it was a tire vibration. It was a whole lot worse than that. Big Mike's gonna hit the sack early. Got a long day. Hey, man, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Sounds like you got some cool stuff brewing. Mohawk says, when I get some cash put back, I'll be looking for a center chunk, 355, 373, 396. Well, the only ratio they make for that you've listed there is 355. 391 might have it. You got a lot of torque in that car, so 355 might not be bad at all. That would actually probably be a good piece for yours. A lot of people say, well, that's too much, but considering he runs those tall steamroller tires, I say not. I think a 355 would be good for that. Give him a lot of cruising ability and get his low-end torque a lot better. Barrow's waiting up so he can waiting for me to get the registration, put the timeout request in. So here's the deal. I'll probably have a date even before I have registration open. When you see a number back here on this orange paper, that means that we have a date. And some things we're looking to make sure fall into place before we can announce a date. We're looking at some possibilities, and we'll do it. I will say, barring a Hiroshima disaster, we certainly plan to go back to the Skelton Raceway in Sykeston. The Skelton family is wonderful to us, and that's what we're going to do. But we just need to make sure we get that date right. So that's what we're working on, and you guys will be the first to know. J-Bo says, speculate what it would take to turn a 71 440 New Yorker into a tow rig. A hitch ball? A hitch ball and maybe a little more transmission cooler? What's the best way to avoid breakage? Super low? Well, the lower the gear, aka the higher numerically, it would take some stress off of your parts, but still, the best way to avoid breakage, don't run slicks, run good parts. I mean, yeah, there's a lot. That to me, that's not the best way to avoid breakage, but I guess technically it does help. Yeah, Clint says you don't have to have a running car to bring it to No Name Nationals. People love the mock-up I brought. Yeah, he brought a work in progress. People love seeing stuff sitting on the trailer or whatnot. Yeah. Left Turn Dodge says his car does not have a stock firewall or floor. Number one is the ball joints, so wouldn't be legal as Triple Crown. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, though, there's still lots of cool places you can run it, man. Run it in a bracket, do call-outs with it, do some match racing with it, all kind of stuff you can do. ASO brings up a great point. He says for a cheap rear end that will bulk up to about anything, the 8.8s, and there's still a lot of them. Yes, there are. So unless you have something that's just crazy torquey, that 8.8 will do just fine. Colleen has the 489 and 8 3/4 and bought the crushed sleeve eliminator from Dr. Diff. Yes. I feel like I'm getting behind on all this. Should bump the No Name Nationals up 2 weeks so I can make it. I'm not looking for that to happen. We will see. NYS GTO swapped a 354 and 410 in a work tradesman 200 van with 360 round 12. Wow. That's pretty impressive, actually. That's impressive. That's impressive. You guys like the new intro video? Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, I just did something a little different. A lot of you guys are in it. Barrows wants to know if they're going to allow front suspension alterations for Triple Crown next year. This Corvair is begging me for a straight axle on Tunnel Ram 327. You're going to have to ask that question of Dallas and Shane, Professor P, on Wednesday nights. The Triple Crown rules are in formation. They will be formally announced no later than December 26th, the last Friday of the year, which will be the formal announcement for the 5th annual No Name Nationals on this channel. Dougster says hello, Ginger, and I've got video of Ginger chauffeuring Dougster around on a golf cart. And you know, Heaven's Mopar says, Oregon, don't forget, guys, those of you who are registered for the No Name National still have your discount with Edelbrock. Edelbrock.com, everything is 10 to 15% off, and those are already good prices. Those are already competitive prices, but you get 10 to 15% off that. And as we buy as a group, we move toward more competitive price brackets still. And there's going to be a little bit of an overlap with your registrations for next year, so that if you register in a timely manner for the No Name Nationals at the beginning of the next season. So we're going to announce the event on December 26th. You're going to have a little bit of grace period in there. If you re-register in a timely manner after that announcement, you'll keep it continuously. Danny Boyd says $391 is a hot ticket. It's a little low for dailies with the speed limits we have now, but I'll tell you what works great is go with that 391 or 410 or even 430 if you have an overdrive. And so if Mohawk wanted to do that, that's going to cost some money. Go 46 RH in that car. Now you're talking. Now you can run whatever rear gear you want. Cope, in fact, runs a 488 with tall rear tires with that transmission. And a lockup. He can drive that thing anywhere. Colleen says Half Pint has an 8-inch 390 gear stock. Unfortunately, it's an open diff. Well, you can do your burnout one peg leg wheel at a time. Like 318 wheel run. He's got a good video on his channel how to do a burnout when you got an open diff. Mean Street Mopar says taking his 440 block back to the machine shop and have him zero deck the block, bush the lifter boards, and set up the girdle. Right on, man. I'd love to see that thing come to Sykeston. It's the year. NYS GTO says thank you. Hey, man, thank you. Thanks for being here. We're glad you're here. Left Turn Dodge says it might come. I have a 36-foot trailer. Right on. SRP says, tally ho, glad y'all had a good time. Thanks for joining us tonight. Danny Boyd hates the idea of setting up a ring and pinion with crushed sleeves. I'd want a case of them on hand. Replace it with a solid spacer. Cousin Cletus says, I'll not be bringing the Tesla this time. Understood. Cope said he's back. 2-hour conference call on the 4R100 valve body. Whoa, hope something good happened out of all that. Cope, we've been talking about the Blues Brothers movie. And if this is a thing that happens every year at that Joliet State Prison, I might be able to commit to coming to watch it for the first time. Never seen the movie. I might be able to commit to coming to watch it with you and Dougie next year. I knew this year I couldn't do it, but maybe we can do that. And we were just talking about you and Mr. Haney and everything. We were talking about gearing in the 46RH. But anyway, Crystal Onyx asks, what's the situation with the cardboard cutout? Said person blocked Mohawk. Rich has got mods that have blocked so many people. He doesn't even know who he has blocked anymore. It's a mess over there. But Rich had a good time with No Name Nationals. He probably got about 30 subs out of it, so whatever. Auto Salvage Outlaws ran 1140 in his Ford Escape 3 times, changing the turbo out to a bigger one and changing the CPU chip out. He's going to make this thing run 10s. Okay, sounds good. Indirect Connection says, Cletus, figure out a hack to allow for burnouts. If the new Charger can do it, I'm sure Elon could as well, I guess. Clint says, I registered late this year. Do I still get the Edelbrock discount? Yes. How do I access it? We send an email goes to Alex So. He's our concierge, and you will need to call him. And on our live, we announced that we got a phone number for Alex So. Just call him, and you'll get your discount from Edelbrock, 10 to 15% off everything on the site. And so once I send you, you'll get an email from him. But yes, in fact, you should have gotten one from a guy named Alex So with Edelbrock. If you didn't, check your spam filter, okay? Ginger Vance says, Crystal, that will have to go through John Wilbur. Rich 220 had too much fun at No Name Nationals. Yeah, that was a one-time thing. It was a one-time thing. I'm not saying you won't see Cardboard Rich again, but I'm just saying I don't think he'll come to No Name Nationals again. Cousin Cletus says, I'm sure there's a way to do burnouts, but it was supposed to be a joke. The Tesla's fun, but not the same as a big cam. Yeah, it's great. You know, what Cletus did was cool. I liked it. ASO said the track is easy to get to from the interstate. It's one of the best tracks, clean and organized. Yes, it is. Crystal says, he's not, but I might need to cut out a Rich to put in my chicken pen. They don't scare the chickens like that. And yeah, Rich has everyone blocked. Join the club. He did something with his Google account. Who knows? Anyway, just some good fun. Yeah, we've got good things in plan for the No Name Nationals. And this community, of course, is year long. We talk to each other all year long. That's just our Super Bowl. But I really want this to be the year. If everybody says one of these years, I want you to just quit saying one of these years and say 2026. No, ASO, he blocked me, an unfinished project, before he blocked you. We definitely were first. Cope had something cool coming to shop. Can I show him that picture of the transmission you sent me? That Pro Flight. I've never seen one of these in person. I'd love to work on one. He's getting one coming in here soon. Danny Boyd says, I'm a very antisocial person, but even he's not as antisocial as Rich. Okay, Cope says it's cool. I'm going to show you guys this. This is a Pro Flight. So it's a 727 with 904 guts. And you can clearly see. You can see how much smaller the drum and everything is. I can make this a little larger. It's a 904 guts and a 727 housing. And that one's got an adapter. It looks like to run behind the Chevrolet engine. And it's just wild. So it's a cool, lightweight setup there. I think it's neat. Brian Cabral cut out next year. Nah, he missed his chance. Missed his chance. No, that was just a fun thing, and we included Rich. And Rich got it in the spirit in which we intended. In fact, he's made his channel art, the No Name Nationals banner, and he liked it, and I'm glad. We certainly meant no malice. But it got him probably 30 subs. You can clearly see that. And so he now has his 1,000, and he did a half asleep, laying there out from under a blanket live, you know, talking about his 1,000 and thanking people, which is fine and dandy. But anyway, but J-Bo likes the intro. But with that, guys, we're just about at our time. Yeah. He blocked Johnson quick, caught in the crossfire. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. It's all good. Poor guy. He's doing all he can do. But with that, guys, we're at our time. Thank you all for coming out. I totally agree with that, Danny boy. The 727 is awesome. It just needs to have more bell housing options. Thank you for coming out. Don't forget to watch Tech Talk Live on Slant Daily Garage channel or the American Hot Rod Association channel with Dallas and Professor P on Wednesdays, 7 to 9 Central. We'll be back here Fridays from 7 to 9 Central or 8 to 10 Eastern, however you want to look at that. But thank you for coming out. More to come. We're going to have more announcements on what we're doing at No Name Nationals. Do enjoy this fall and time with family like Thanksgiving and Christmas time and everything. But we're going to ramp it up and ramp it up hard for 2026. And you guys are going to have to be part of it. We'll have a good time. So y'all have a great weekend, and I'm out.